Welcome to the Firebelly Social Show. We're focused on talking to food and beverage brands that are on a mission to make the world better.
Hey everyone, Duncan here with another episode of the Firebelly Social Show, where we feature founders and leaders of mission-driven food and beverage companies, aka people that are intentionally going out to make the world a better place for people like you and me. And we got Arnell, our co-host in the house. What's up, Arnell?
Hey everyone, what's up? Thanks for tuning in to this latest episode of the Firebelly Social Show. We have a great show lined up for you today, talking with Ahmed, CEO of Innoviom. This episode is brought to you by Firebelly Marketing. At Firebelly, we help mission-based food and beverage brands bring people closer through social media marketing. So if you're ready to use social media to create more community and excitement around your food and beverage brand, go to firebellymarketing.com to learn more.
And let me introduce our guest formally. Welcome, Mr. Ahmed El Azizi. I'm so happy to have you.
Thank you very much for having me today.
And you've been described, and I think you're self-described, as a guy who loves to build brands. Let's start with that. You know, that's something you do, and you've done so much in your life. Tell us about yourself.
Yeah. So, let me try to summarize it because, try to compact a few years in, a couple of minutes. So, and then we can, open it up for more discussion. So,
yes.
I'm a marketeer by upbringing, if you'd like. I started a long time ago even before the food and beverage business. I started in the detergents and the household cleaners and perfumes. And, that's what was hot and sexy and trendy at the time when, if you wanted to get into marketing, and very quickly then evolved into the food and beverage space. Worked for Coke, worked for Pepsi in multiple locations around the world, different positions in marketing, general management, commercial, you name it. And part of, what I am is, linked to where I've worked, where I've lived. And even before my sort of work career, I grew up in the UK. I grew up in the US. I did, I'm Egyptian by birth, global citizen by, where I've lived and worked and, and created friendships and met different cultures. And that's shaped, my love for travel, for community, for, digging deeper into consumers and trends. And that led to, of course, the natural transition to building brands. Yeah.
That's amazing. All that work. And in particular, you're focused now on functionality.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I've tried to do as I evolved and then we've gotten into sort of Innoviom over the last 4 years, which is the portfolio company that we have different brands underneath, is we sort of took a step back and said, okay, we want to be in the food and beverage business, but we don't want to be in the mainstream food and beverage business. So we're not going to be another water. We're not going to be another soda. We're not going to be another juice, et cetera, et cetera. What is it that we want to do? We want to deliver or help consumers on their journey of wellness, whatever that journey is, from a very active person to a very, minimally active person who just wants to live a better life. And hence, to get to that, you need to provide functionality to the consumer in what they eat and what they drink. And that's where we started off. We said, okay, we're going to develop food and beverage products that might look mainstream from the outset, because in the end, the beverage is a beverage. However, what's inside is the most important thing. What is it that I get out of it when I drink or eat this product? So we developed, Tranquini, which is our first beverage brand that is made of herbal adaptogens. Why are herbal adaptogens important? Because even before COVID started, and this is when we went to market, stress was a major global issue. It was driven by macros. It was driven by social pressure. It was driven by family, pressures. And people were experiencing stress even before COVID, and it was amplified by COVID. but there was no really ready to eat or ready to drink solution for that. If you wanted to relieve your stress, you had to, go on a vacation, go to the gym, or drink a lot of alcohol or recreational or non-recreational drugs, and that was about it. So, we tried to develop a product based on, in ingredients that help to relieve your stress. So you would get a refreshing, great tasting product that has a functional benefit. And that's became the mission of Innoviom and what we're trying to do. Everything that we do, every brand that we create, every product under the brands that we create have to have a functional element to it that helps consumers on that journey that they're trying to embark on.
Totally. And that functionality, we're finding is so important and is definitely needed in the food beverage space. What do you feel like are some of trends that are popping up in the food and beverage CPG industry specifically? What are some of the things you see?
So you're looking at sort of multiple trends, right? You're looking at, of course, you're seeing the plant-based trend. You're seeing the vegan trend. You're seeing really natural, clean ingredients. You're seeing no added sugars. That way, you're getting clean carbs in the food and beverage that you eat versus synthesized. But you're also seeing the trend of vitamins, minerals. You're seeing the trend of, I'm looking to better help boost my immune system or my nervous system or adaptogens, nootropics. All of these are ingredients that are important to have, that are growing, right? However, what's key is not just to say, okay, I want to be in, the nootropics, or I want to be in the adaptogens, or I want to be in the vitamins. Are you really putting the level of that ingredient in the product?
Right.
Because, you can say, yes, I want to be in it, and I put a little bit of pixie dust here, a little bit of pixie dust there from a marketing perspective, but then you're not being true to the mission that you're trying to deliver. And what we bring to the table from Innoviom is whatever product we're developing under whatever brand that we're developing, we're adding ingredients that actually deliver for that said functionality versus just trying to claim it.
Right.
As Arnell would say, that's deep. Because, and it's deep in the sense that it's incisive. It's like, there's a lot of that going on right now where there's a claim to do this or that, but then, there's still things you can't pronounce, or, the sugar levels. I mean, so much kombucha, right? It's like our buddy Jamba at Rowdy Mermaid was saying that the kombucha and sparkling water space has changed completely because it's not okay to have so much sugar and it tastes like shit.
Correct.
It's
Correct.
like, so you're aspirationally drinking something that you don't even enjoy drinking. So that's thank you for. I think what I clarify from that is it in your mission. That's really deep. And Arnell, if I can jump in for a second, and I know that Emma, this is something that is a mantra for you. Great minds discuss ideas. Average minds discuss events. Small minds discuss people. Originally said by Eleanor Roosevelt, but something that you really subscribe to.
Correct. I think, when you read that sort of quote or saying by Eleanor Roosevelt, it really subscribed what I try to not just live by, but also when I deal with people and my team and, our extended sort of strategic partners, et cetera, is, if you waste your time talking about the issue or the problem or the cause or who did it, and then, pointing fingers, it's a cycle you get into that doesn't lead to a desired outcome, right? In the end, what we're trying to do is we're trying to make things better. And making things better is not just for the consumer through the products that we deliver, but also making things better for how we interact with each other. Because you can't really be in a food and beverage wellness company trying to promote a journey of overall wellness. You're treating people in a bad way, or you're spending time in the toxic discussions or in negativity. So for me, it's all about how do we work together in a positive environment to deliver a positive outcome. And yes, there will be issues and problems along the way because that's life. But how do we then tackle them in the right manner and take learnings from them? And then from that, you can generate actually ideas that can help you drive innovation. And I think that's really the way I look at things in the world around me.
Yeah, that's really interesting. It kind of is a good pretext to the question I was about to ask next, just about like innovation. How do you innovate? When you're talking about building these brands, and like you just mentioned, I'm sure maybe sometimes they have pushback on certain things, or it's a question of, well, how do I do that? How do you guys get over that hump and help these brands grow?
So I think, innovation comes sort of, there's a spectrum of innovation, right? You're creating something completely new from scratch that people haven't seen for the first time. Like, you're creating that flying electric car, for example, right? Or you're taking something that exists today, but making it better. And I'm not saying marginally better. I mean, substantially better, right? So, and this is the space that we're in. We're looking at drinks, or we're looking at foods. People for hundreds of years have been drinking products, right? Whether it was homemade products in the Middle Ages up until packaged goods in 18 and 1900s, right? So how do we take a beverage that and take it to the next step? And what is that next step? And that next step really comes from looking at what consumers want. You're looking at trends, looking at the macros, doing a lot of reading, doing a lot of interacting with consumers, with retailers, with these type of discussions that we're having today. And out of it comes ideas. Okay, people are looking for functionality. Yes, tick the box. But what type of functionality? At one point, it was caffeine. That's why you saw the growth of the energy drinks. That's why you saw the growth of the Starbucks of this world. That's why it was, it was a time of work hard, party hard. I need to keep going at no matter what cost. The Wolf of Wall Street type of, mentality, right? So, as mental health became a predominant, focus, as well-being became a predominant focus, as taking care of myself so I can take care of my family and friends became a focus, people started looking at, okay, what are things that I need to put into my body that help me on that journey? And then you start breaking it down. Okay, what fits in a food? What fits in a beverage? What doesn't? And what doesn't is as important as what does, because you can't put everything in a food or a beverage. You have to choose. Strategy is about choice in the end. And that's how we begin to look at, ideas. You form the idea. Okay, stress. It's a macro. What helps to alleviate stress? These type of things. What can we put in a food or a beverage? These type of things. But most importantly, once you narrow all of that down, in any food and beverage, no matter what category you're in, taste is king. If a product doesn't taste good, people might try you once, they might try you twice, they might drink you or eat you infrequently because they know there's inherent wellness in the product, but you're not going to be a loyal consumer if the product does not taste good, right? So then the idea is, how do you take all of that, package it in a format, but ensuring that it tastes great? And that is really the key.
I mean, that's such a cool insight. I mean, I know I will buy things aspirationally. I just bought a sparkling water that had rose. You can see I'm an Indian. Rose is a big deal for me. And,
yes.
I was like so excited to drink it, and I drank it, and it's like, man, it's imperceptible. It's like I can't taste the rose at all. And I bought a second can. I'm like, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I need to eat something else. And no, there's nothing. I was like, man, this is such a disappointment. And that is exactly what you're saying, is taste is king. But man, if you can back it up with the right evidence, right? Is that more or less what you're saying?
Correct. So so you've got the ingredients that deliver the functionality, whatever the product. Let's take the example of, you said, of that rose water, right? So rose, in a lot of Middle Eastern, Indian, South Asian cultures, it's great for the taste of the water. It has some benefits, relaxation, all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But there are key parameters for it for people who drink rose water. You have to taste it. It can't be a hint. It can't be transparent. You really has to kick in. So then that's a key element or ingredient to go into the product. But then if you back it up with, besides the rose water, it has minerals or has other functionality, then you're like, okay, I'm getting my rose water that I grew up on. I know how, from a cultural perspective, I can relate to it. It tastes great, but then there's all of these other benefits, because then I don't need to take my vitamin supplement, or I don't need to take this, etc. I've got it in a one-stop shop. Then you're on the way to an innovative process right there.
That's really cool. And one of the important things, so, we're a marketing agency. And so to your point, you've talked about, the importance of being functional, the importance of, having your product serve a purpose for people so they'll use it. What about messaging? I know that
yes,
story and messaging is important. You can have a great product, but if you can't communicate it right, then that hinders things too. And I know, so what is your take on messaging? How are you guys helping your brands get the word out and get the right word out, more importantly?
Yeah, and I think that's a great point. So, your starting point is a great product or a great product idea, right? But you've seen in history great product ideas that are technically superior aren't really the ones that last with the consumer, right? Case in point, look at Sony. They're the first ones to develop, the iPod, or MP3 player, right? It was technically superior. It held more songs. It had the higher quality. But then Apple came up with an iPod, right, that had less songs you can put on it. It wasn't as technically superior as the MP3 player of Sony, but the messaging was right on. It was about lifestyle. It was about on the go. It was part of your sort of look and feel, and it resonated with the consumer.
Right.
So just having a great product, right, that ticks all the boxes from a technical perspective, taste perspective, whatever industry you're in, if you're not coupling it with the right communication to the consumer, then you don't have a complete innovation process. So I think when we talk about innovation, yes, we want to make sure that we have the right product, we have the right ingredients, we have the right packaging, tick, right pricing, go to market. But then really the story begins with how you're communicating to the consumer, what you're saying to the consumer, when you're saying it. And as a startup business, you don't have the luxury of big dollars like the big companies. So you have to build this from a grassroots perspective. You have to start building communities. You have to start, getting product in the right people's hands, them trying it. Then they spread the news around your brand, around your product, and it starts building all the way up. And that's an integral part of the innovation process as much as the design of everything as well.
I mean, dude, what a great explanation. I remember, Arnel, this might be before your time, but when those first iPod commercials came out, it was like 250 megs of songs, virtually unlimited. It's like 250 megs is nothing, right?
Yeah.
It's 100 songs. And it was a guy who was out, it was like the rainbows everywhere, and he was outside. It's like, take your music anywhere.
Correct.
And it was such a powerful, it's a beautiful example, such a powerful connector, but it wasn't superior.
No, it wasn't.
Right.
In fact, those early iPods were plagued with problems.
Correct. And those early ones, you could probably put 5 songs on them, or I don't remember how many songs. And, it was, and sometimes, you're right. And they were bulky, and then they came up with the nanos. Technology sort of followed later on as they built it. But it was all about the messaging to the consumer.
Technology followed the ideas.
Correct.
Wow.
Correct.
Beautifully put. Arnel, you had another question?
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about some of your favorite clients that you worked on. I know Duncan and I were super interested in the Tranquini we saw on your site. So tell us a little bit about them and anyone else that you have a great success story to share.
Yeah. So right now in our portfolio in Innoviom, I think we've got, the big brother, which is Tranquini, and then we have the little baby, which is Nature Geeks, right? From Tranquini, is a beverage herbal adaptogen. It has ingredients such as chamomile, L-theanine from green tea, lemon balm, and zero added sugars. And the whole objective of it was, hey, if you're thirsty, and you need a change of pace, you don't, whether you're stressed or not stressed, this is going to be a light, refreshing, great tasting product. And by the way, if you have a little bit of edge on you because you're about to go into a meeting, or you've had a hard day at work, or you've just come out of a long creative session and you just want to unwind, pick up a Tranquini. It comes in, right now, 3 great flavors. It comes in hibiscus, comes in, mixed berries, and it comes in ginger lemongrass. And we're always innovating on it, adding new flavors, looking at adding new adaptogens even inside, as we always, with innovation. Even though you have a base product right now, it doesn't mean we don't stop innovating in it. We're always looking at what else we can put in it, or whatever, and whether it's from natural ingredients, natural flavors, all of the things that we're doing. And we sell right now Tranquini on Amazon. We sell it in the UK in Holland and Barrett, which is one of the sort of up and down the street mainstream specialty retailers, and we're beginning to expand here in the US. Right now on Amazon, we're ranked the number 14th best-selling carbonated water on Amazon.
That's awesome.
It's great, and we're still growing. So this is what what we're trying to do. And then on the other spectrum, you've got Nature Geeks. Nature Geeks is sort of a different approach to branding that we took, right? Where we said, I want to have an umbrella brand that cuts across food and beverages. So we have a portfolio company that cuts across food and beverages. We had Tranquini, which is a purely beverage play, but then we said, okay, can I have a brand that cuts across food and beverages? And the answer is yes. However, it has to have certain parameters. And that parameter was, okay, this brand and the product underneath this brand will always have the following nuances. Number one, the whole thing about Nature Geeks comes from nature meeting science. So the products will be natural. There'll be no preservatives, nothing artificial in it. And then the science part, which is the geeks part, is the ingredients will be scientifically proven to deliver functionality or whatever they're supposed to deliver to the consumer. So then we developed our first product, which is the Nature Geeks Immune Shot. And where did that come from? One of our investors has a friend. He's a sports medicine doctor in Germany. During COVID, he's the doctor for one of the football clubs in Germany. Football meaning soccer, not American football. And to keep his players healthy, he was giving them supplements and minerals and a lot of different things. And he's like, hey, if I find something that I can just give it to them in a one-stop shop, so I don't have to follow up with all of these players that they're taking the supplements and minerals and they're not getting COVID. I said, hey, we can do that for you. What is it that you're giving them and why? And we started having that discussion, giving them this for that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We put all of that together in a beverage product, sweetened by honey, and you have the Nature Geek Shot. And then I said, okay, that's great. How can I take that base idea of the vitamins and minerals and cut it across different platforms? Okay. What is the key thing that people eat in on the go in the world? Protein bars. And why do you eat protein bars? It's because you're going to the gym or you're eating it as a meal replacement or breakfast on the go. Okay. So how do I design a protein bar that delivers what you want from protein bars? Good level of protein, tastes great, and there's no sugar added, all of natural, et cetera, et cetera. But then on top of that, I'm going to give you our proprietary mix of minerals and vitamins that was in the shot. So you have it on top of your protein bar. So when you have it as a meal replacement, or you have it as a, breakfast on the go, or just as a break, as a snack, you're also getting all of your minerals and vitamins in that protein bar. So that's where Nature Geeks bars was come to play. And then, okay, since it's already in a beverage, it's already in a food, what do people do also? You're sitting at work, or you're sitting for this podcast, or, sitting with friends. Everybody likes to drink water, right? And water is healthy for you. But people get bored from just drinking plain water. And then you had all of these flavored tablets that are coming, and et cetera, et cetera. I said, okay, maybe instead of flavored tablet, you can take a Nature Geeks powder. Mm-hmm. And in that, you flavor your water, plus you get all of your minerals and vitamins all in one shot. So in July, you're going to have the Nature Geeks powder mixes coming up.
Nice.
So then it's a beverage, it's a food, it's a powder, and it can still expand beyond that, because the premise of the brand is nature and science with a base of the vitamins and the minerals cutting across different categories. And that's our new baby. And that's, how we look at approaching innovation. That's how we look at approaching new brands and new products and new ideas.
That's really exciting. Go ahead, Duncan.
I think that, Emma, I wanted to go back to what you said earlier. You were talking about the importance of trends, and you were like outlining some trends, immunity, adaptogens, nootropics. I was wondering if maybe you could share just a little bit about your trend identification approach. Like what that sounds so fascinating. What goes in there?
It goes in there a lot of discussions and a lot of reading and a lot of research. And sometimes it comes from just having social meetings with friends and family, and you begin to pick up on things, or you're listening to podcasts and things come up, even if podcasts are completely unrelated to food and beverage, right? So what you usually find is, keep your eyes open, keep your ears open. I walk into stores, even, you go into the normal food and beverage aisle to see what's going on, but I also go down other aisles to see what's going on, whether it's the fresh produce aisle, or the milk, the cheese, the meats, the shelf stable, because you begin to see things, right? Whether it's a normal supermarket or a Whole Foods or a Sprouts or whatever, or a specialty retailer, there are things that pop up. So our process is, we all do a lot of reading, we all do a lot of discussions, we all do a lot of in-depth research, and then we have quarterly sessions together where we're identifying what's going on from all of this research. What new products we just saw coming out? What are people talking about? What are some of the articles that are being written on trends? What are people talking about in podcasts, in communities? And you begin to start formulating, okay, this might be something that could fit in what we do as a company, and it could fit underneath one of our brands, or potentially a new brand. And it's just an evolving process. It's an evolving process. And sometimes you're at the very beginning of a trend, sometimes you're at the middle of a trend, and sometimes you've missed one, so you need to think about something else.
I mean, that's so interesting, and compares to our work as well. With are you at the beginning of a hashtag trend or the end of it? Are you able
Correct.
to jump onto a trending sound? Yeah, that's really fascinating. It's really like a mix of objective and subjective approaches. It's like you're hearing things, you're seeing things, it's out in the real world, and then you're backing it up.
Correct.
Backing it up with research. That's
correct. And then part of that real world is also, when you go into a store, you're talking not only to consumers, but to the retailers themselves, to the shop clerks, to the sales reps. There are things that come up just through those discussions. Yeah.
And it really is fascinating. I mean, I know recently we have Fresh Times around us here, and where I live, and it's different from Fresh Time location to Fresh Time location. And I went to the manager, and I was like, hey, I love some of the beverage choices you guys are making. And he was like, well, which ones do you like specifically? And so giving him some feedback, and who knows what value, one person's input has, but maybe he thinks if one person told me, 30 people, 30 people are thinking about it. So
exactly.
A fascinating approach. Arnel, did you have something else you wanted to ask?
Yeah. So, you talk about, a lot of functional food and beverage, but explain a little bit more of what that means and what does that look like?
Yeah. So when I look at functional food and beverage, I'm very pragmatic or scientific about it, right? Where I say, okay, what is it? You look at it from the end backwards, right? You say, for me, everything starts and finishes with the consumer, right? So the trend starts with a consumer or an idea from a bunch of consumers or regular people, right? And in the end, it's also about the consumer because they're the ones who are going to take money out of their pocket and give it to that shop clerk or the store or even Amazon or an online store. So if it starts and ends with the consumer, everything else in the middle is a process to get that final product to the consumer, right? Whether it's design, ingredients, communication, it all leads to the fact that you want the consumer to buy and continue to buy. So when I look at functionality, if we look at a trend saying, okay, let's look at Tranquini. Stress is a major issue. People are stressed because of macro stresses. They're stressed because of financial stresses. They're stressed because of social media and communities adding stress, right? And then there are wars popping up, and then a pandemic. All of these are things that are adding to stress. Okay, great. So stress is an issue. Now, how do you alleviate stress? There are different ways. I can meditate. You can play, to a gym. You can undertake yoga, or you can look at taking things to help you in that stressful journey. So I'm in the food and beverage space. So then I zoom in onto the beverages. What do I put in the beverage that helps alleviate stress? You then identify ingredients. And how do you then identify that? You're working with food scientists, you're working with flavor scientists, and then you're then identifying not just the ingredient, but then how much of that ingredient you need to put in. And that's then you develop that product. Otherwise, if you're not giving the right amount, then it's just a marketing claim. Right. But then there's also, you have to work within legalities and how much you can put of a certain ingredient up and down, and you're designing all of that in a compliant way. And then once you've designed it in a compliant way, in a functional way, then you go back to the drawing board to make sure it tastes great. And that's where you start, making it, tweaking again and again and again until you get a great tasting product. So functionality for me is making sure what's inside delivers what you're saying it's going to help you to achieve. And it's a support mechanism, right? But it's not in the end like we're not a medicine. We're not a detergent that's saying, okay, if you've got this stain, we're going to take the stain out. The old advertising of, white and whiter and better, stain removal. In the end, a beverage is there, it has ingredients, but it's also part of an overall lifestyle that you need to manage. Yeah.
Right.
What a great description, Arnel. I feel like I know so much more about the process. It's like the inside scoop on how to formulate a functional beverage by Ahmed El Azizi in 1.5 minutes.
Your cheat sheet.
The cheat sheet, yeah.
Awesome.
I think that is just such an amazing wrap up there. What are you excited about right now? What do you want to talk about?
Yeah.
No, I'm excited about the opportunity still of Tranquini and growing and getting the product in more people's hands and getting the news out there about Tranquini and really growing. I'm excited about our fresh new product line, which is the Nature Geeks bars that we just launched in April. I think they can potentially really have a unique space in the overcrowded bar business, because besides the proteins, like I said, and the natural ingredients, etc., you're really adding value to the consumer about, hey, take it. It has your vitamins and minerals. You don't have to worry about anything artificial. You don't have to worry about calories. It's 52-gram bar with less than 200 calories. Boom. And it's filled with all of these, minerals and vitamins that you need for your daily dose. And I'm excited about getting that product in people's hands. I'm excited about getting feedback, because we get feedback. It allows us to tweak that product, because you can design it in a way and you think you have the best designed product, but then, people try it and try it again and try it again, and you can find ways to evolve it. And that's part of the exciting process that we undertake. It's not just that we've developed it, that we go on to the next one. We're always going back and making sure that the products that we have, the brands that we have, are always evolving, because technology changes. There's always new ingredients. There's always better ingredients. There's always better ways of doing things. And we always, on even the brands that we have, Tranquini is a few years old, but it's evolved in those years as well. It's not the same product. From the flavor perspective, it's the same. So as a consumer, you won't feel that I've changed the taste on you, but the functionality of it, the ingredients of it, etc., is always evolving.
I think you, when we were doing our earlier call, I think you said something like, quote unquote, demanding more, whether you're demanding more of yourself, or whether the audience is unwittingly moving in that direction. But it's the concept of, and in this case, I don't want to polish, the words, but it's like more good is better.
Yeah. Like I said, I think in this day and age, right, where everything is so fast paced and the time is limited, and there's a lot of pressures going on, right? And that's why people are demanding more of what they're eating, what they're drinking, the services that they're getting, etc. Because, if I'm going to pick up something to eat, I just don't want it to fill empty calories. I want more out of it. If I'm going to drink something, I just don't want myself to be hydrated. I want to be hydrated plus, plus, plus. If I'm going to take this mobile service provider because I would need cell service, what else are you going to give me besides cell service? Because I can get cell service from multiple cell phone providers. So that plus, plus is important. And that's always going to be the cutting edge of innovation, and that's where they're going to be the cutting edge of Innoviom. We're demanding more of ourselves. We're demanding more of what we put out to the consumer, because we know the consumer is demanding more of us. And us, I mean, everybody involved in any type of consumer goods or even service products.
Yeah, products and services. Really, that's
correct.
Hey, listen, I want to suggest to you, and I'm saying this with all damn, I want to write a book on with poetry or something. I mean, you just have such an eloquence about you. So, I mean, and this is live out in the cybersphere now that Duncan has said this. So I really think you need to find a way. You have such an eloquence about you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, this is
maybe we can collaborate on something.
I'm in. Arnell, what were you going to say?
Ahmed, tell us a little bit about where we can find you guys online, on social media. Where can people who are listening reach out to you guys?
So our products are available on Amazon. So on Amazon in the US, in the UK, across the EU. So Tranquini, you search for Tranquini on Amazon. You search with Nature Geeks on Amazon. Nature Geeks is written Natur without the E and Geeks, so one word. So you'll find the shots and the bars. And then you'll find us on our websites. Tranquini.com is our brand website for Tranquini. NatureGeeks.com for Nature Geeks. And then, of course, everything is on Innoviom.com. So if you land under Innoviom, it can take you to the different websites. And then, if you're in the UK, you'll find us in Holland and Barrett, in over 500-600 stores. And then hopefully in the US over these next few months, we start getting into more and more retailers. And, next time we're on a podcast together, we'll tell you where you can find us exactly in the number of doors, But right now, Amazon, e-commerce, and in retail in the UK, and some specialty shops around, the New York area as well, in the Chicago area. So
super cool. Super cool. Well, we had so many other topics we wanted to talk about. So there's definitely going to be a next time. I know we talked about doing a panel together. So thank you so much, Emma, for being so generous with your time and your experience and your wisdom. And we really appreciate it. And we're looking forward to having you back again. Everyone, this has been another episode with Duncan and Arnell of the Firebelly Social Show, where we feature the amazing leaders of mission-driven food and beverage brands who are really going out to make the world a better place. And you can see we're enthusiastic about it. So thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you on the flip side.
Thanks for listening to the Firebelly Social Show. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.